time to play. Pam's got the tea and the hot buffet. Movies roll lights fresh all day. Pam Entertainment TV. Where the fun and the facts agree. Sit back, relax, and you'll see. Pam Entertainment TV. Where the fun and the facts agree. Sit back, relax, and you'll see. Drama unfolds, the plot gets thick. Celebrity cases real and slick. She breaks it down quick as a flick. Where the fun and the facts agree. Where the fun and the facts agree. Sit back, relax, and you'll see. PamEntertainment TV.
Steve. Hey, 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 hey.
Hollywood lights to courtroom sights. Pam's got the vibe to make it right. Your backstage pass, your
All right, people. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we are going over pop culture today. Baby. And there is a little popping going on in the culture. A little popping going on in the culture. And we're gonna go over that. So let me just play my little theme music really quick and then we'll get started. All right, you see the title of this thing. It says here that the Target boycott has been declared to be over by Pastor Jamal Bryant, a prominent pastor out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. And as you all are coming in, make sure that you all are hitting that like button. And if you like what you see, please make sure that you subscribe. I won't be on here long, but I want to be as impactful as I can because I just want to leave y'all with a little questions. And then you can form your answers. Okay. And here are my two channels. If you're interested in movie and television reviews, please go to PETV Reacts. That's PETV_Reacts. That is where I do my movie and my television series reviews. Also, I review trailers and things like that. I also have a series over there that I'm starting called This Week at the Box Office. And we'll go over the weekly box office movies and see how they're doing and talk about stuff that's surrounding them. So that's a new series that I'm starting over there. But over here, we are here for this pop culture chat. Now, if you are not familiar, when 47 came into office, he basically told a lot of corporations and public entities that if they didn't get on board with him about stopping the DEI and inclusion, he was going to make it seem that they weren't going to get any government contracts. All these things were going to stop. So Target decided that they were going to be one of those corporations, and they stopped their DEI initiatives. And what was that DEI initiatives? They were making a shelf space for Black entrepreneurs, people of color entrepreneurs, all of this, that they would have a designated shelf space on the racks. They decided that they were no longer going to involve that. So what inevitably happened is they did have inventory to sell, but they were no longer going to be dedicating shelf space for those brands. And so what happened is the Black community decided, hey, we're just going to boycott Target and boycott other stores. If you have to go in there, if there's something that you need, because some people use the pharmacy in there and all this other, if something that you need to get in there, no one is going to stop you or beat you over the head. But if you could get something someplace else, do that. If you could support those brands, if those brands have their own websites, and you can buy those products from their website. the boycott encouraged you to do that. The boycott was simply, if you don't have to go into Target, don't go into Target. And that's what happened. And we've seen where it has caused a lot of monies to be lost. Target had been on a downswing, but it kind of went through a free fall for the past year and a half in regards to this boycott. Somewhere, somehow in there, Pastor Jamal Bryant decided that he was going to be the face of it all. He was the face of it all, and he was going to bring the faith-based Black folk in on it and encourage the faith-based Black folks to boycott Target as well. Don't have an issue there. So it's going on a year and a half. He's doing all the big talking. He's decided that he is the face of it. Don't have a problem, honestly. Didn't have a problem with that. I know he's problematic. Didn't have a problem with that. So then I see yesterday that he has called a press conference and he says, oh, the protest is over. It is over, y'all. I need y'all to understand that it is over. So let me share my screen. We get this quick little YouTube video so you all will see what I'm talking about. And again, as you all are coming in, please hit that like button. I surely would appreciate it.
High-profile boycott against
Hold on.
just announced they are ending the year-long protest sparked by the retailer's decision to scale back on some diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts.
Let me start it again because it's
High-profile against Target just announced they are ending the year-long protest sparked by the retailer's decision to scale back on some diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts.
We have not been able to get all that we have desired, but I am grateful for the strides that we have made, for the Target fast that really reflects the faith-based component of this. We are claiming victory.
Metro Atlanta Pastor Jamal Bryant, who you just heard from, said that he made the decision to end the boycott after what he called productive conversations with retail giant's new CEO. He also was highlighting the boycott's success for more than a year, with 300,000 people formally signing up for the boycott. Target is not changing any of its policies, but they say they've pledged to fulfill its 2021 commitment to invest $2 billion in Black-owned businesses, more than doubling the number of Black-owned brands on their shelves.
all right. We just saw that. So he went in with the new CEO because, again, the boycott was so successful that they rearranged their CEOs and all that other stuff. Okay. So then it got me to thinking, why, oh, why of today? Why yesterday? Why, oh, why? Because my mind runs like that. So all of a sudden, why is Target making this announcement or making these concessions? What's going on? There's something bigger that's going on. And my Black folk, what do you think is going on? You can put it down in the chat real quick. I'll let you know if we are thinking on the same lines. Because there's something going on. And while you all are thinking about that, I'm going to queue up I'm going to queue up something. Hello there. As you all are thinking about it, I'm going to cue this up real quick. Hey, May. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Are we ready? Y'all remember this? Y'all remember this? Y'all remember that Richard Lou Dennis and Sundial Media or Entertainment Group was owing the Essence Fest, the Superdome, 400, almost $500,000 in an unpaid bill for them using the Superdome last year, because Essence Fest last year didn't make the money that they thought that they were going to make this year, because they weren't paying attention to the fact that it has been a slow decline. But I'll probably do a whole nother video in regards to that. But you all remember this. This is when the Essence Fest had to pay all this money, and then they said that Sundial owed a vendor about $1 million. Now, this vendor was the vendor that put on the show, the Essence Fest, organized the acts and all this other stuff, or the production, excuse me, of this, and they owed them $1 million. Do you all remember last year who was the sponsor of Essence Fest last year? Target. Target. Target was the founder. Now, Target was in the middle of a boycott. People knew that. And then Richard Lou Dennis and his group was like, oh, well, y'all can't do that. Don't do that. So let me just explain why this is important. And this is the thing where people will get things confused. If you have been in, I saw a video where a young lady went into Target during Black History Month, and she went into Target and she saw that their Black History spread, because every year Target does a Black History spread where they highlight Black American artists in their books, in their clothing, all these little different things. They highlight these things. She went in there and she was like, see, they've got Black history stuff out, and they've got all this stuff that's Black. So let me say this, because again, I'm saying this to show what is going on, where there is a dichotomy. Now, I know there's going to be a whole group of folks that are in the back that are going to want to mishear me and think what I'm saying is about hate. It is not about hate. It is about a delineation so we can see what is going on. When she went into this Target, the designers were African. All the spread that she showed on that shelf were African designers. Now, let me be very clear, because I think people in the back want to mislead us. There is a difference between being Black American and being of African descent, being African. There is a difference. And you want to know how we know it's a difference? Because continental Africans have told us for for decades that there is a difference. See, it hasn't been until 45 and 47 has gotten in here. Now, all of a sudden, there is no difference, but there's always been a difference. Culturally, we are different. Not a good thing, not a bad thing. It just is what it is. Follow me here. I just need you to follow me here. So we see that Target is sponsoring, because I will tell you there's this thing called flat blackness. And basically what that is that everyone thinks that just because you look like you have the same skin complexion, that culturally you're the same as well, when that is not the truth. People from Nigeria have a culture, rich, but they are different from people from Ghana who have a rich culture, who are different from Black folk from the Caribbean who have a rich culture, who are different from folks here in the United States of America that have a rich culture. Now, I know people get to scratching their heads, because a lot of Black immigrants have come to the United States of America, and they're wanting to fit in, and well, They want the benefits, if there are benefits of being Black Americans, but they don't want the blues of what it is to be Black American. And I don't know if I explained that very well, but I'm just going to continue. So, why is that important? So, Target was the festival sponsor last year. Essence Fest, which used to be owned by Black Americans, it was sold to a white organization or company, and then Richelieu Dennis, who is Liberian, he purchased it. So now Essence is African owned. All right. And you remember I told you what's going on in Target right now is that more African brands are being put forth. Black American brands used to be put forth, but now they're not. They have been substituted for African brands. And why is that? Because of the partnership between Target and Richelieu Dennis and Sundial. So why is this getting back to Jamal? Jamal. Oh, Jamal. So let's see what's going on now. Says Essence Fest agrees. This was on March the 9th. Now look at the timeline. On February 16th, let me go back to this thing so we get this timeline right. On February 16th, when this article, Essence Fest organizers under fire over unpaid bills, news shows up, right? That's February 16th. Then, quietly, around March 9th, we get the Essence Fest agrees to pay contractors for last year's festival as it plans for the July event. This is an article written by Jake Patterson for the NOLA.com. So let's read this article really quickly. Because it was announced a few days ago that Essence Fest, and we'll pull that up too. It was announced the other day that Essence Fest is doing is supposed to be the year the Black woman or something like that. And I think Patti LaBelle, Cardi B, Kalani, and a few other people are going to be headlining the Essence Fest. Because remember, they're trying to get back those rich aunties. And so I don't know if they'll ever get those aunties back, because once Frankie Beverly left this plane, and he was always the one that closed out the Essence Fest, Frankie Beverly and Mays, I don't know if they're going to pivot back or have a good pivot for that. It says here, we are certainly aware and cognizant of the fact that if that is not resolved in a timely manner, it will certainly impact whether the city is willing to do a clean zone for this group or any other group, says Council President J.P. Morrell at the February 26th meeting where the ordinance was approved. Looks like we're missing a part of this article, but let's continue. In a statement Thursday, Sundial Media, which purchased Essence in 2018, said it had inked agreements to pay 3 production companies for thousands of hours of work they put into last year's festival, nearly 8 months ago. The company said it always planned to play up, but it took time to work out our lingering discrepancies. It worked out a payment plan with the Ernest M. Morrell Convention Center in February. Because what we learned from this article is that usually anybody that rents out or leases out that stadium, they have 30 days to pay that bill. And they have had that bill on hold for almost a year. So Sundial says, we have always been committed to ensuring every partner is made whole and have done no differently this year, the statement said. Essence said it was moving ahead with planning for this year's festival and would make major announcements this week about the event and about the lineup. Essence gave a first peek at its musician lineup, which includes R&B stars Brandy, Kalani, Monica, and Patti LaBelle, as well as hip-hop stars Cardi B and Lotto. This is going to be interesting because I don't know if you remember from last year's Essence Fest, you had Stephanie Mills to send out a letter saying that the professionalism from Essence has declined. And she was so upset about it, she had to write a letter about it. The hiccup in payments comes as Essence future in New Orleans approaches a crossroad. The festival's 5-year contract with City Hall, the Convention Center, and Caesar Superdome expires at the end of the year. Now, we found that out last year because they are in efforts in work of taking the Essence Festival to Nigeria, because they're saying that that's the market they want the Essence Fest to tap into. So walk with me. Walk with me. Walk with me. So hear what I'm saying. You have Richard Lou Dennis. They in February, it was announced that, they ain't paid their bills. Then on March 9th, we have them working out a payment plan. And then we have Jamal Bryant come out yesterday or the day before yesterday talking about the boycott has ended. Now, I saw something today. Somebody had mentioned, well, maybe Target paid because, he met with the CEOs and things of Target, and maybe that they paid. He vehemently denies that Target paid him anything. So now let me stop here so you can be where I'm at. Essence Fest, Sundown Entertainment ain't paid that bill. Day before yesterday, they're able to work out a payment plan. A few hours later, Jamal Bryant gets up and says that we are no longer boycotting Target. And who is the sponsor for Essence Fest? Who's the sponsor for Essence Fest? Target. In politics, we call that strange bedfellows. Don't seem like they go together, but they do. And I'm getting like my mutuals. Let me see if I can get this. But all of this gives me this.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye. Do you understand?
I don't think Target paid him. I'll agree with Pastor Bryant that Target didn't pay him. But you can't make me believe that he wasn't sitting in that meeting and Target is telling him, listen, we've invested this money in this Essence Fest. You seem to be able to get the Negroes to boycott. We need a return on our investment for this Essence Fest. You need to be working with our partners, because since you can get these Negroes to do what we want to do. Now, mind you, folks on social media had been talking about boycotting Target way before Jamal Bryant decided that he wanted to become the face of it, because this was organic and grassroots. But of course, you know, he's made himself the face of it. You need to see if you can get these folks into Essence Fest. We need these people. If you can move these types of mountains, we need to get these people into Essence Fest. So you need to tell them, tell those Negroes to stop protesting, that the boycott is over. They'll listen to you. So then I'm like, okay, because see, there is pastors are not like pastors of old. There has to be something that pastor's gonna get in order for all of this effort to be made. So my question has always been, why did Jamal Bryant jump up and decide that he wants to be the face of all this? Why this particular issue? There's been so many different issues going on. Why this particular issue? Is there a connection? May or may not be. But let's continue. And so in order to figure that out, because I always have to now ask these certain questions. Who is this person, and who are they folk, and where they folk come from? And a little side look thing, I remember my mom would always ask that question, and I used to get irritated by that. She would say, who, you know, I would say, oh, my friend so and so and so. She would always say, well, who is this person? Who is they folks? Where are they from? What do they do? And she would ask that so often, and I would get irritated. But sometimes with age comes wisdom. So I ask these questions. So shout out to my mom. I ask these questions. Who is Jamal Bryant? Who was his folks, and what did they do? So let's go over that. So you know me, I'll ask the Googles, because they say Google is free and all you have to do is ask. So he's an American pastor. He was born in 1971. He is a high-profile megachurch pastor. He's known for his social activism and for appearing on the reality series The Real Housewife of Potomac, because he was once married to Giselle Bryant. Okay. His father is John Richard Bryant, who was a bishop in the AME Church. I need you to hold that for me just a second. Now, Pastor Bryant, the reason why I said that he was problematic, because he has a documented history of thinking with the head betwixt his legs instead of the head between his ears. And that head down there would get him in a lot of trouble, to where he was having affairs on his wife, Giselle Bryant, even bringing babies, extramarital babies, into this affair, all while pastoring a church. I'm not as big on all the things that he's done as far as the social activism, but I have seen his face when incidents happen. I have seen his face in those spaces. I've seen him standing next to Benjamin Crump. I've seen him stand next to Al Sharpton. I've seen him in those spaces. Here recently, there was church controversy. That's the best way that I can put it. There was church controversy because he had gone to the United Negro College Fund, I think it was, and his wife wore one of those illusion dresses. And like I said, it's church controversy because the church sister says, no, ma'am, no, Pam, that dress was not appropriate. So that's a cursory look on who Jamal Bryant is. So then I asked who his folks, because remember my mom would ask you, well, who are their folks and what do they do? Well, we find out that both of his parents were pastors in the AME church, the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And they were church leaders who served as bishops, overseeing districts where? In African nations such as Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and the Ivory Coast. Shout out to them. And I see over here in the corner that his mother has passed away. May she rest in peace. So you say, Pam, well, why is that important? That don't mean nothing. I say, in politics, when you have Target, when you have Sundown Media that's owned by Richelieu Dennis, and now you have Jamal Bryant. And I say in politics, they say politicians make certain things make strange bedfellows. So when you see these three things and they don't seem to go together, you got to dig deep because it's something that there is a common interest going on. Personally, I think the common interest is making money. The common interest is, I think it's about making money off the backs of Black folk because everybody does that. Everybody is comfortable with that. Except for us. Well, Pam, you're just throwing all this stuff out. Where is Richelieu Dennis from? I said it at the top of this program. Where is Richelieu Dennis from? He is from Liberia. And remember, we just saw his parents, Bishop John Richard Bryant and Reverend Cecilia Williams Bryant, were both distinguished African Methodist Episcopal church leaders who served as bishops overseeing districts in African nations such as Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Ivory Coast. Now we find out that Richelieu Dennis's family was a very prominent family in the country of Liberia, in the capital of Liberia. So I asked the question, did Jamal Bryant spend time in Liberia? They told me, yes, he spent significant time in Liberia during his youth. He lived in West Africa for approximately a year. This occurred when his father, John Richard Bryant, was assigned as African Methodist Episcopal Bishop to Liberia in the late 1980s. Liberia has played a recurring role in his family's ministry and personal history. Jamal Bryant's father, Bishop John Richard Bryant, served in Liberia twice, first as a Peace Corps volunteer in the mid-1960s after graduating from Morgan State, and later as a consecrated bishop of the 14th Episcopal District starting in 1988. His mother, Dr. Cecilia Williams Bryant, was also heavily involved in the region, founding primary schools and centers for women in Liberia during her 40-year ministry. Jamal Bryant continues to engage with the African diaspora through his current leadership at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church and various initiatives, such as leading groups trips to countries like South Africa and Greece. And then, it asks you all these other different questions, but I don't need to know those different questions. Interesting. There used to be a game called 6 Degrees of Separation. And that used to be with 6 Degrees, was 6 Degrees from Kevin Bacon? I think that's what it was. So what we got here? Now, I don't want to so I did ask the question because I want to be fair in what I said. I said, does Jamal Bryant's father have connections with the Richelieu Dennis family in Liberia? They said they couldn't find any direct evidence. But they both were active in the late 20th centuries. All right. So let's get, and I do want to show this because this is where I was talking about Jamal Bryant said that he wasn't paid. He says Target protest leader Jamal Bryant denies being paid to end the boycott. This was written by Chauncey Alcorn, put out today. Target protest leader Jamal Bryant on Thursday strongly refuted online accusation that the retail giant paid him to end the national economic protest he helped spearhead more than a year ago. Absolutely not a dime for even our meetings, Bryant told Capital B Atlanta during a Thursday phone call. I bought my own plane ticket, bought my own hotel. I can say with clarity that Target has never bought me lunch. He's been accused of deliberately conflating the Target fast with the national Target boycott started a month prior by Minnesota-based activists Monique Colors Doty, Nikema Levy Armstrong, and Jelani Husson of CAIR. Because remember, I told you it was a grassroots effort before he started, but it seems funny that he became the face of it. So why am I concerned? Listen, let me be very, very clear. Politics makes strange bedfellows. You have Sundown Entertainment, who has purchased the Essence Fest, who couldn't pay its last year's bill in a timely manner. So they had to put it on layaway. They had to put it on a payment plan. Then there was fallout from the Essence Fest. And the fallout from the Essence Fest is that the participants who went to the Essence Fest said it didn't feel like they were celebrating Black American culture. It felt like they were celebrating continental African culture. And we subsequently find out that, well, because Richelieu Dennis is the owner, of course he was going to want to celebrate continental African culture. And that's what he wants to do with this festival. This is the vehicle that he could use to do that. Business is business. The original owner sold it, and then the subsequent owners after that sold it to him. At the end of this year, he no longer has the 5-year lease on the Superdome in that block of time, which is in July. He has said in numerous occasions, Richard Lou Dennis has said in numerous occasions that he's wanting to take the festival over to Nigeria. And he's hoping that the rich aunties, the rich black aunties, are going to spend their money and go over to Nigeria to celebrate continental African culture at the Essence Fest. That's his vision. That's his plan. So he wants to make sure that he gets the rich aunties' money, the millennials, and the Gen Zers. He wants their money so that he can pay these bills and then have enough money to reinvest this festival over in the continent of Africa. But then it's that Jamal Bryant portion. See, it's giving me, because the one thing I know about AME pastors and bishops, that they do spend a lot of time making connections in the political realm, in the cities wherever they're living in, making those connections, talking to the wealthy and talking to the poor of the people. Because I'm just going to believe that there is some kind of connection there. There may be some type of crossover, maybe not a lot, maybe just on the mere fact that they may have bumped into each other and just started discussing Liberia, for instance. But it's not lost upon me, because of that connection. It's not lost upon me the reason why Jamal Bryant made himself the face. So I believe him when he says, Target ain't paid me nothing, because Target may not have paid him. Sundial could have paid him. And again, I don't know these folks personally or professionally. These are my opinions, not statement of facts. Everything I say is allegedly. I'm just trying to connect these little dots. Because 3 things have happened so in such a quick turnaround. Because July is slowly creeping up, and they're getting ready to do pre-sale tickets. And we can't have Target is like, I need to see a difference in and my black people, I need for us to understand. We have got to get ahead of, and we can no longer afford to people to use who we are in our culture to benefit them and we not benefit from it. So yes, is there a boycott? But listen to what it's doing. Their sales are plummeting. So they're going back into history thinking, look at the Negroes. They need a leader. We got to put this leader in front of them so it can tell them to do or to stop doing something. Because remember, I told you it was a grassroots effort. right down here. Because I was interested in why in the world was he the face of it when these ladies right here, that's highlighted. Monique Colors Dottie, Nakima Levi Armstrong, and Jelani Hussein started this national boycott. And he was very quick to say the faith-based portion of it. There was no faith-based portion of it. A boycott is a boycott is a boycott. How are you coming in and taking over? Because he has to be the face. Because again, people are still using old politics, trying to use old politics. The 20 against us. That 2024 election has opened the eyes of a lot of Black Americans. Them old tactics are not going to work anymore because of the fact that as Black Americans, we realize real quickly after that election that we do not have any allies. There is nobody but us who are going to fight for our own issues. Nobody but us. You can no longer pander to other groups and assist other groups with doing stuff because there is no reciprocity. They are used to you doing it. They're used to you going out and boycotting for them. They're used to Black Americans putting forth all of that labor. And then there has been no reciprocity. So why is this any different? Why is this any different from the old play? We need to get a face. See, these three ladies, people don't know these people. They really don't have a face to this, but we all knew as Black Americans that this was grassroots. This was all across social media. And my conspiratorial mind is, and particularly it was grassroots, and it was particularly on TikTok. Which to me led to all of this. Oh my gosh. The Chinese are taking over. They're getting your information. Ellison is getting your information. Doge has your information. I just saw an article where one of those Doge workers went to a new employer and was trying to show him that, hey, I got 500 million. I've got 500 million of pieces of information on U.S. citizens. Social Security numbers, date of births, all kinds of little different stuff that we got from the Social Security Administration when we went through there trying to pare down waste. But let me not go on a tangent here. Because see, these ladies are grassroots. Very effective, I might add. So shout out to you all. So Pastor Jamal Bryant jumped up and made himself the face because again, something's got to be in there. And things make strange bedfellows. Because why is Jamal Bryant, whose father was a bishop in AME Church in his district, included Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the Ivory Coast? You don't think that somewhere, somehow, the Bryants and the Dennises didn't cross paths at a luncheon, at an event? Because out of all the pastors, Jamal Bryant? So this is what I would tell you. All this stuff is starting to make it's starting to make perfect sense. And it's also making perfect sense that me, myself, I'm not spending any money. Like I said, if you have to go to Target for something, go to Target for something. But if you can find it someplace else, or you can support these Black-owned businesses, do that. Now, Target said that they're going to continue their Black initiatives, but are they Black American issues? Or is it this flat Blackness is going to be for any and everybody who has the same skin hue as I do? These are the questions, Black Americans, we have to ask. We have to start asking. And let me tell it, this is the really big reason why you have a lot of Black immigrants having a hissy fit about Black Americans, saying that they are Black Americans, or they're saying that they're foundational Black Americans, or indigenous Black Americans, or changing whatever it is to delineate that their ethnic group, instead of everybody thinking that we're all African, and we're not. We are skin folk. Oh, well, you're silly because you all came. A lot of folks here, Black folks in the United States of America, are not tracing their lineage all the way back to Africa, because they've been over here for 500 years. And no, we're not immigrants. We're Black Americans. You don't want to be African. That's because we're not. That's disrespectful to the continental Africans. Can you imagine me as a Black American going over to Ghana and saying I'm from Ghana when I know I'm not, and they know I'm not? That I'm from Nigeria when they know I'm not, and I know I'm not? That would be cultural appropriation at its finest. So why then, in turn, would they come over here and do the same thing? They shouldn't be. But again, and they didn't, and they haven't. It's just interesting that when 45 and 47 came into office, all of a sudden, we all Black. Prior to that, me no Black, me no Black, me no Black, me not you. You slave baby. But all of this is interesting. All of this is interesting to me. So now, the quote unquote face has said, hey, the church's fast against Target is over. So that's signaling to the church ladies, aka the rich aunties, y'all going to spend your money, because the Essence Fest is coming up. And Patti LaBelle is going to be in there. And I don't know who else they're going to get, but Patti LaBelle is going to be there. And y'all need to get your outfits from Target so y'all can spend your money. But ladies, don't let anybody try to treat you this way. You make your own informed decisions. Because this is the tactic, this is the play that has always been used. Do not be fooled by it. If you want to see Patti LaBelle does concerts all year long. She's on Ticketmaster. Support Patti LaBelle there. Brandy and Monica just did a nationwide tour. Support them. Go to their tour. I don't know if they're still on tour or not. But they had a very successful tour. Go to their tours. Same way Cardi B is in the middle of her world tour. I don't know what Lotto is doing. I don't know what Kalani is doing. But I think Kalani, if I'm not mistaken, was an opening act for Brandy and Monica. You can support those women by buying tickets to their own concerts. It would be more impactful. And this is supposed to be, it says here, let me share this real quick with y'all. Cardi B, Kalani, Patti LaBelle, and Brandy and Monica to perform at the 2026 Essence Festival. Festival of Culture. Whose culture, I don't know, but it says culture nonetheless. I'm just going through here. So they're gonna roll out who they're going to get over the next couple of months. But they are getting ready to sell tickets. So this is the first round. They're gonna have their SoCo market again. And the thing about that SoCo market, because one of the things that was happening with the Essence Fest last year is that a lot of local vendors were iced out. They were being fined if they promoted any of their businesses around, even if their business is located in that downtown area. They were being iced out to do business near the Superdome. Because they want you to all be in this marketplace. So where there will be a lot of African artists, a lot of African vendors and things like that are going to be in this marketplace. Now they got called out on it last year. So it looks like that they're saying that if you're interested in participating, there are applications awaiting. Let me see. Applications for founders interested in participating, meeting their audience in person on the convention floor are now open. And everything has changed because everything is now money driven. Everything has changed because everything is now money driven. And because when I went to the Essence Fest, there was a portion of the Essence Fest where it was about education. There was a portion of it where it was about education. So when you went to the conference floor, there were a lot of there were vendors there, but there were also a lot of panels, a lot of educational things that you could go to, and that was free to the public. From what I understand from last year, a lot of those things weren't free. You had to pay a fee to get in. So not only are they not really promoting Black American culture, they're nickel and diming you so that you can participate in continental African culture. So, once again, if you started this boycott at this national Target boycott at the behest and the social media push from Monica Colors Dottie, Nakima Levi Armstrong, and Jelani Hussein of CAIR, CAIR, I will tell you to continue that. Jamal Bryant made himself the face of the faith-based initiative, but it was just basically to muddy the waters because people were not going to be trying to figure out who was who. He was making it like both of them were the same when they're not. Hey, Torian. He was muddying the waters to make it seem like the national issue. He was the face of this issue when he was not. He had his own little issue. He had his own little segment. And I think it was, like I said, politics makes strange bedfellows. I believe, like I said, these are my opinions. These are not statements of fact. But since I found out that Richard Lou Dennis is from Liberia, since I have found out that Jamal Bryant, father, was a bishop in the AME church, and his district was Senegal, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the Ivory Coast, there's no way that you're not going to make me believe that the Dennis family and the Bryant family did not cross paths. And who is the festival sponsor? Main sponsor? Who is Essence Fest's main sponsor? It is Target. So now you've got Target, you've got Richard Lou Dennis and Sundial, and you have Jamal Bryant. Strange bedfellows. And he announces, first we get the announcement from New Orleans that Sundial ain't paid their bills. Then we get Jamal Bryant having a meeting with Target, and who else was in this meeting? Target hadn't done a thing. Target hadn't done anything different, and is not even reported to do anything different. But Jamal Bryant says, "Oh, the Target fast is over." Why? Target needs to recoup its investment in the Essence Fest. See, old political ways say you can get those. The Negroes need a leader, and when the leader says something is going on, it's going on. When the leader says something is going on, these Negroes are going to fall in line, and it's not going to go on anymore. And that was Jamal Bryant's role in all of this. See, everything got to get moving because, see, Essence Fest, and get this, Essence Fest is on a payment plan. See, they're hoping to get these pre-sale tickets to go ahead and pay these vendors and pay the convention center. This is the last year of their lease as far as those dates, those July 4th to July 6th dates for the Essence Fest at the convention center in New Orleans. Because next year, they're wanting to take this whole Essence Fest vehicle over to Nigeria. And see, what they need is for the rich aunties and the Black women to follow them. And to spend their money to boost up Nigerians' economy. Of course not. Because the audience, you know how they tell you to know your audience? It will not thrive in Nigeria. I don't believe it's going to thrive either, Torian, because you're supposed to know your audience. Will you have some people go over to Nigeria? Possibly. But you're not going to get them all. Because New Orleans was the convenient place. It was pretty much centered. Had an international airport. But I just need you all to pay attention to the con. I need you to pay attention to it. They want your money. They want your money. Target needs to recoup the investments that they made in Essence Fest. Essence Fest needs to make a profit so they could go take this show on the road over to Nigeria. And they found the best performance artist in Jamal Bryant to be the face of it. So once again, this is not Jamal Bryant's boycott. He did not start this. He hopped on like a parasite and used different wording to make you believe that he was the face. The whole objective is to get you all to spend your money back at Target and to spend your money at Essence Fest. What I would suggest to you is to look up National Target Boycott that was started, and I'm going to keep saying their names, because how dare he try to co-opt this from what it appears to be, I don't know all of them, what appear to be Black women, with Monique Colors Dottie, Nakima Levi Armstrong, and Jelani Hussein. They are the ones. Remember, I told you earlier in this broadcast, they started this as a grassroots effort via social media. He jumped his ass on it maybe a few months later. He may have talked to them and coordinated to see what was going on. And just to make a difference, but something that you probably wouldn't pay attention to. And that is why it's so important, ladies and gentlemen, to listen to what people are saying to you so that you can make a good decision, and then watch their actions behind what they say. Because he's talking, oh, this is faith-based. I did a faith-based fast. Bitch, it was a boycott. It was a boycott. And you jumped on it because I think it was coordinated way back when for you to jump in there and then become the face. Because again, people still think that Black folks of today are operating in that same mindset that Black folks operated since the passage of the Civil Rights Bill. These folks, these Negroes need a leader. Jamal, you be the leader. You keep talking about you putting your foot on Target's neck. And then at the right time, you're going to come out and say that the boycott is over. And that's what was done. But these are the young ladies that have started this boycott. Keep putting your foot on Target's neck. If Jamal and his church want to go to Target, that is their prerogative. But what he's not going to do is get out here on national TV and try to overtake a boycott that he is not in control over. I just saw your comment, Tori. They tried to test run at last year's Messence Fest. And it failed badly. Of course. You can't give your consumers steak and give them steak every year and do it every year where you're perfecting and making that steak is so yummy and beautiful and delicious with a little jambalaya on the side with a little etouffee and beignets. You can't do that. You and then turn around and come in with some jollof rice and some egusi soup and think everybody is going to be okay with that. Two different cultures. So let me just finish up here. Let me finish up what I'm going to say here. Jamal Bryant made himself the face of this face-based fast where he was trying to, in essence, in my opinion, co-op the national Target boycott started by Monique Colors Dottie, Nakima Levi Armstrong, and Jelani Hussein of CAIR, Kair. I believe, and this is just alleged, that he is working in collusion with Richard Lou Dennis and Sundial and Target. Why? Target and Sundial are working together because Target is the sponsor and has been the sponsor and supposed to be the sponsor until next year of the Essence Fest, one of the main sponsors of the Essence Fest. They're believing they can kill 2 and 3 birds at the stone. And you know what's interesting to me? And this is why I say to you all as Black Americans, you got it. You mind your money, mind your advocacy, mind your dollars, and mind your time. Because Target has been around for forever. As long as I've known them, they've been around a very long time. Isn't it interesting when Black folks stop doing something, how companies lose a lot of money? Why is that? Is that saying that Black Americans spend a lot of money in certain places? That's interesting. But again, let me go over and let me be clear. The National Target boycott was started by Minnesota-based activists Monique Colors Dottie, Nakima Levi Armstrong, and Jelani Hussein of CAIR. They were the grassroots effort. They were on Target. They were on TikTok. They were on Instagram. They were on YouTube. They started a whole social media craze in regards to this. Jamal Bryant made himself the face, and then he wanted to make sure that you turn toward it by using certain buzzwords that work in the Black American community. We're fasting. This is a faith-based initiative. Again, you let me tell it. Now that I realize that there is possibly a connection between Jamal Bryant and Richard Lou Dennis, which had to do with Jamal Bryant's father, who was a bishop with the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And his district covered Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Ivory Coast. Jamal Bryant lived in Liberia. Richard Lou Dennis, from what I understand, his family, they were prominent in politics in Liberia. All of a sudden, he's made himself the face. Here you have Richard Lou Dennis and Sundial. Sundial is working in partnership with Target. Target is a main sponsor to the Essence Fest, in which Sundial Media, Sundial Incorporation owns. Sundial owes the city of Louisiana, the Superdome, $500,000. And they worked out a payment plan for that so that they can have the Essence Fest for this year. Richard Lou Dennis also said that he's paying the vendors that complain that he hasn't paid them yet. Now, when all that business has been tied away, the only thing that's needed is y'all's rich aunties and your aunties and you Gen Zers. They need y'all's money, honey, to go to the Essence Fest here in New Orleans. And they're bringing out acts like Patti LaBelle and Brandy, Monica, Kalani, Cardi B. Supposed to be the year of the woman. Why is that? Black American women spend a lot of money. Hair care products, clothes, nails, and entertainment. They're trying to get you to go back out. But what I need for you all to remember is to why it started. Because Target dropped their DEI initiatives, which dropped a lot of Black American entrepreneurs. Even though that inventory is in Target still, like I said, if they've got websites and places like that that you can buy, you can still support these ladies. Now, Jamal Bryant went to this meeting and declared that the fast is over, but there was no contrition with Target to change anything. So why is it over? Y'all let me know why it's over. Because I gave you my sneaky suspicion is that some money has exchanged. And like he said, because I'm not calling Jamal Bryant, he may have told the truth that he didn't get any payment from Target, but that doesn't mean that he didn't get any payment from Richard Lou Dennis. That doesn't mean he didn't get any payments from Sundial or any corps or LLCs that they own. Doesn't mean that New Birth didn't get a sizable donation from some mysterious LLC. Or somebody contributed to the pastor's plan. Pastor's Appreciation Fund, excuse me. Hey, Lauren. How are you? But that's all I got, y'all. I still say continue to boycott because, like I said, it was a grassroots effort. Jamal Bryant only made himself the face of it. I think that there's some politics and money going on behind the scenes, in which why he said it, because you remember just what last month he was talking about keeping your foot on their necks. All a mess. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all continue what y'all doing. It's a grassroots effort. Once again, started. It's the National Target Boycott, started by Minnesota-based activist Monique Colors Dottie, Nakima Levi Armstrong, and Jaylani Hussein of CARE. Keep your foot on their necks. And once again, they're going to be pulling out the acts that are going to be at Essence Fest. If these particular acts are in concert anywhere here in the United States, support them in their own concerts. I can't tell you where to be, but we finna get up out of here. So please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye. Mind your advocacy, mind your money, and mind your time.